I've been dreading making this video. For like a month now, but I'm in like a mental fog today. So I figured I should just talk about it. So I failed my nursing class, so I am no longer in the program. About a month ago, like the first week of November, we took our finals. So like I was showing you guys in my other video, the way that my school does things, or at least how they're doing things right now. We did the theory portion of our class first, and then you take your final, and in order to continue on with labs and clinical, you had to pass, basically you had to have a 78 in the class after the final in order to continue with lab and clinical, because lab and clinical is pass or fail. So the last two exams I didn't pass. Didn't pass meaning I didn't get a 78. I think and I'm not even in the course anymore, so I can't pull it up and look at my grades, but I think like the fourth test I got a 70, and then on the last test I got like a 75, I think. On my final, I got a 73. I used a grade calculator to calculate what I needed to get on my final in order to pass the course. And what my teacher was doing was, if you got at least a 78 on the final, she would take that grade. Basically, it would count twice. So it would be our final grade, and then it would also replace the grade of one of our lowest test scores. So if you would have made a 78, then you would have gotten that grade twice. I made a 73. So that made my overall score in the class a 75. And you have to have a 78 to pass. So those 3 points made me fail, and I'm no longer in the program. Initially, when I found out, I hate how they did it too. So I found out like early Sunday morning, like 1 in the morning. I guess they waited until basically midnight to post our grades, and I'm assuming they did that on purpose because they wanted to do it while everyone was asleep, and so we wouldn't see it until the morning. However, I'm pregnant, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, and I had a lot of anxiety around my grade. I studied really hard, and I really wanted to pass. So I woke up to use the bathroom, saw in our class group chat that someone said she finally posted the grades, saw my grade, and yeah, and felt horrible, and just like stayed up with my husband for like 30 minutes and cried. And then I had to go to work the next day, and I had a terrible day at work. It took me a while to sit down and make this video to talk about it, because for a good minute I felt like a failure and felt like I failed myself and my family, because my family made a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to go back to school. We moved in with my parents in order to cut back on our expenses. My husband found another job so that he could be the primary income provider for our family, so that I could be able to afford to go to school, because I have to pay for school out of pocket. It's a whole nother thing. And just a lot of sacrifices were made to get me here, and I just felt like I failed everybody. So, I didn't want to talk about it with anyone for a while. And I still don't want to talk about it. This is like my first time actually like announcing that I failed. Only really like my closest friends and my immediate family know that I didn't pass. So I don't talk about it unless someone asks. Because of course when I go to work, people are like, "Oh, how's school going?" And I'm like, "It's not. I failed." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But I don't even know where I'm going with this. Like I said, I'm having a gloomy day. I don't know if it's the weather. It's cold. It's like foggy. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. I just got back from that. That went fine. But I'm just having like one of those, what am I doing with my life days? Which I'm sure a lot of people have. My doctor's appointment is an hour away, as I said before. And so on the ride home, I was just thinking, and I was just like, what are you doing with your life? Because right now I don't know. Like the baby is due at the end of February. And I've just been making a lot of decisions about when I'm gonna go back because I don't want to give up. I do believe that everything that happens to us in life is for a reason. And I don't believe that God makes mistakes. And so I know that me failing was for a reason. I don't necessarily know the reason as of yet, but I know that in the end it'll be okay. And I'll go back and I'll finish and I'll get my degree. Or maybe I'm supposed to be on a different path. But I don't have that figured out yet, and I'm just accepting the fact that I don't have to have it figured out quite yet. So, and that's okay. It sucks. Honestly, this is the first time I cried about it in a while, because stuff happens, and life is full of disappointments, and I can either choose to believe that the things that happen to me are happening to me, or choose to believe that they're happening for me. And I am choosing to believe that this is happening for me. If I were to sit and weigh out the pros and cons of me not being in school, now I don't have the stress of worrying about, well, how am I going to go back into school after I have a baby? Because my school is like very strict. They are not lenient at all. Trying to figure that out, being stressed out about whether or not I'm going to be able to breastfeed. Are we going to be able to afford formula if I can't breastfeed? How are we going to be able to afford to pay $2,000 a month in daycare? Just so many things that I was very, very stressed about that I don't have to stress about anymore right now. And so that's a huge positive for the situation. So I'm trying to focus on that and focus on the fact that I get to actually have quality time with my daughter when she's born. And I really do want that, especially right now with the pandemic and everything going on. Still, it's really important for me to be able to have quality time with my kids. And they say that this is like the most efficient time to do things, like if you're trying to go back to school, because they won't remember. But at the same time, if given the opportunity to stay home and bond with my kids while I can, then I'm gonna do that. And so for now, that's what my plan is. I still work at the hospital on weekends. I just only do Saturday and Sunday, and really, that is just because that is what I have to work at a minimum to be able to keep my health insurance. It's more affordable for the whole family to be on my insurance, so I work to pay our health insurance, and that's really about it. As it's stupid expensive because I'm part-time, but it's still cheaper than my husband's job. But anyway, I think I've talked about that already. For now, what I'm going to be doing is staying at home with my kids, except for on Saturdays and Sundays, for the next year and a half. My husband and I were talking about things immediately after I found out I failed. I talked to my husband and I was like, I'm only working part-time because of school. I failed. I'm not in the program anymore. Like, I can go back to working full-time, which is really only one extra day a week. And he was like, no, if you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Like, it's totally up to you, but we're fine. You don't have to do that. Stay home and just figure it out. So we decided that I'm going to stay home during the week, Monday through Friday, and the kids are going to stay home with me. The reason we decided that is because I was at work one weekend and I sat down and was calculating like our bills and just going over expenses and stuff. And I calculated daycare and how much daycare was going to be once our daughter was born and once she starts daycare. And I came to the realization that we were going to be paying $24,000 for 1 year of daycare for both kids. That is ridiculous. It's an extreme amount of money. And honestly, I can remember a time in my life where I didn't even make $24,000 a year. I barely made like 20. And that is a blessing in itself, the fact that even though it is ridiculous, we are in a place where we can afford it, for being honest. So I texted my husband and I was like, this is a lot of money. What if, I'm only working on weekends. What if we pull my son out of daycare, we don't put the kids in daycare, and we leave them home with me during the week for the year, and we take that money and we put it towards something else. We put it towards a savings so we can buy a house. Or better yet, or in addition to that, we could also pay off both of our cars so that when I do go back to school or whatever it is that I'm going to do, we no longer have car notes. And he was like, that's a really good idea. And then eventually later in that week, we talked about it a little bit more and decided, like, yes, that's a great idea. That's going to save us so much money, and it's going to put us in a situation where we can pay off some debt, because we really don't have that much. I have student loans. That's the majority of my debt, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. I haven't even begun to touch that, and don't plan to anytime soon, if I'm being quite honest. But we take that money, we pay off our debt, pay off our card notes. Both cards are paid off. We put money away in savings, and we try to buy a house. Right now, the buyer's market is terrible, as I'm sure anyone watching this knows. It's a seller's market. It is not a buyer's market, and everything is so expensive. But we're hoping that over the next year or so, that'll be different. But if we spend the next year and take the exact amount of money that we were going to pay to daycare and put that extra money towards both of our cars and our savings, both of our cars can be paid off in a year, and we can have at least $10,000 to $12,000 in savings to use towards purchasing a home, which is ultimately what we want. I'm tired of paying rent to people. Right now, it's beneficial. We're still staying with my parents. It's beneficial. But overall, it's going to put us in a much better financial situation. So, right now, that's my plan. And today, like I said, I've just been in a fog because I'm so used to being on the go constantly. I've worked since I was 16, and even when I went to college, I was still working full time. And even though I work on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm used to working all the time. And after I had my son and I went back to work, I started doing overtime. So I was working 4 and 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week. And that was like right at the height of COVID. So they're passing out money, like, yeah, you guys know. So I was working all the time, and I told my husband, I was like, this is the first time where, since I've started having children, that I've actually taken a break. And I didn't realize how stressed out I was from being at work all the time and being treated like crap by patients all the time. Love what I do, but sometimes it can take a toll on you mentally. So, but today specifically, like I said, I've just been in a fog. I get in these moments where I'm like, well, am I making the right decision? What am I doing? What if you fail again? And my mind is just all over the place right now. Hold on. I had to close the door. I don't want everybody in my business. But my mind is just in a haze and it's all over the place right now. And honestly, I just think I have a lot of anxiety about what's to come next and how different it's going to be once I have my daughter and how I'm going to be like at home with both of my kids. I love my kids so much. But I'm like I said, I'm very much an on the go kind of person, and I love working. But I also feel like I owe it to myself to be able to just take a breather and just take a break while I can. Because there was a point in my husband and I's lives where our financial stability depended on both of us working full time and overtime. And this is the first time where we've been in a situation where realistically we can afford to live off of one income. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm just trying to let my mind relax. Because I'm always thinking about, well, what if this happens? What if you get sick and you can't work? And just, my mind is always in 1,000 different places. But again, it's not that I don't have a job. I just only work on weekends. And when you work in healthcare, the amount of overtime, there's no cap on it. If I had to go back to working full-time overtime, I can absolutely do that, which is another reason why I'm maintaining at least my weekend status. So, basically, I'm just trying to take one day at a time. And I'm trying to remind myself that things happen in life for a reason. And just because I failed this class doesn't make me a failure. And doesn't mean that I have to give up. And it's hard, but I'm still working through it, like I said. And So I wanted to make this video to share it because my channel was primarily about me being in nursing school and I'm not in school anymore. So yeah, that's my little update for today. In the meantime, what are you going to be seeing on my channel? Like I said, for the next year and a half, the kids are going to be home with me. So I'm going to have to like figure out how to be a stay-at-home mom, essentially, and just figure all of that out. So I'll be making more motherhood surrounded content, not family content. I'm a little iffy about, I don't necessarily want to be recording my kids all the time. I just want to enjoy my kids. I don't want it to be a thing where I'm constantly filming them and putting them on my channel. But I do want to film motherhood content specifically because there are a lot of things that I went through when I became a mom that I felt very isolated. And I know that a lot of the reason why I felt that way is because I didn't talk to people about it. Breastfeeding being one very big thing. And I have a video I'll be making about that soon. But you'll be seeing more motherhood content when I figure out what I'm doing with my life in terms of nursing school or whatever is going to happen in the future. More videos about that. More day in the life when I go to work. I do have a small business. I haven't talked about that on this channel. I have a Etsy. I have a little jewelry shop. But I'm getting ready to add some additional things. I just purchased some new things. I'm sitting at my desk right now. And so I'm going to be working on that more now that I have the time. So I'll be making some small business tips, some videos and stuff like that. But that's the plan for now. Let me know what else you guys want to see. If you want to see anything else, or if you don't want to see anything, that's fine. I'm still going to upload things. But like I said, I'm taking things one day at a time because at the end of the day, God is in control of my life and I have no idea what his plans are. And you know, and I don't have to know. It's okay. I can't let my anxiety and my fear hold me back from what I know that I'm capable of doing. So I'm not going to let it. And I'm not going to give up. And I'm going to look at my failure as not a setback, but as a setup for something bigger and greater. I don't have to know what that bigger and greater is right now, but I have faith that I will know and that it's going to be okay. And that's the only thing I can do is just hold on to my faith and continue to love myself and stop being so mean to myself about it. But yeah. Update 2, I bought a new camera. So this is my, well, no, it's not my first time filming on this camera, but this is my first time filming a YouTube video on this camera. I've been filming for like 23 minutes. So I was kind of thought the battery was going to die or it was going to overheat or something, but it hasn't. I got the Sony, don't quote me, the Sony something. It's a Sony camera. Anyway, I'll post information about what camera this is in the description box. But that is it for now. I hope that you guys continue to subscribe. To the new people who are just watching my videos for the first time, welcome. This is why this channel is called Juggling Jazz, because my life is a hot mess and I juggle a lot of things. If you're wondering where that name came from. But I'm glad. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for following along. Thank you guys for the few people that have left comments on my past videos. Thank you for believing in me. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Don't forget to subscribe.